Welcome. Welcome, everyone. It is Angelo Robles. My second one this week. I don't do these too often. An impromptu live. No marketing, not really an agenda, but a little bit, and very much kind of off the top of my head. This one I'm titling Narratives, Quantum Bets, and the End of Easy Money, AI, Crypto, and what comes next. So I have not done a solo that is more investing centric in a long, long time. I'm going to keep this relatively brief. Again, it's been a while. I have been doing a lot of allocating, some right, some wrong, some in between, most of it to be decided. So we shall see. If you're also watching this live here on a Wednesday afternoon, I'm going to play a video interview that I shot yesterday. So, very recently at 2 p.m. Eastern today. You have to watch it. Me and Dr. Stacy Feiner, who's awesome. So, kudos to her. There is no open, there is no introduction. We just literally from the first second go right into it. And really, for the first 47 or so minutes, effectively, it's kind of a debate. And we touch subjects, non-investing related, and not one mention of AI, shockingly, around people, family dynamics, narratives, testosterone, and we cover so much. And it was probably among the more combative, in a friendly way, interviews that I ever had. And kudos to her. I think she's awesome. Okay, so let's get right to it for today, because this is very much impromptu for me. So, and again, very investing centric: narratives, quantum bets, the end of easy money, AI, crypto, and what comes next. So it's like all AI and crypto. Does really anything else matter in what's going on in the world? And that's not really just hype, but a directional thesis. The rise of narratives, as I call it, really over fundamentals. Why price is often fiction and narrative is the new valuation. David Tepper said, if you can't survive the worst case, if you can survive the worst case, go all in. And what is that worst case right now? That's more of a question than what I have an answer for. So the macro backdrop, kind of post-dollar and post-truth investing. Is the US still the empire or already the next Weimar Republic? I'd like to hope we still have a long way to go, but there are grave challenges. Listen to my interview tomorrow live at 10 o'clock with Scott Slayton, I'm sorry. He's incredible. And we're going to go really deep on all these issues. This is more of a teaser. 74% of global market cap equals US companies. Like, that probably won't last. Where does capital flow next? The S&P 297% since '08 versus the rest of the world at -4? Or is the reversion trade, well, it's kind of coming. When I look at Catalyst, will Tether and really all stable coins become by far the biggest buyer of US treasuries? You got to be thinking and asking that question. So henceforth, the fiat Ponzi with nothing backing it continues. What happens when the rest of the world gets a better option than the dollar? I guess that's going to happen one day, but it's not on the horizon for happening anytime soon. Now, how about a section 2 or segment 2, AI and quantum, betting on the next $1 trillion layer? So Joe Lonsdale said 5 layers to AI: chips, data centers, models, deployment, infrastructure, and end apps. Why the most valuable companies of our lifetime will likely end up being humanoid robotics companies. Elon said it'll be the biggest industry ever. To me, some of the big bets broadly in the whole sector, I'm talking about Palantir, Tesla, Tempest AI, ARBE Robotics, QBTS, and Rigetti for a quantum play. Actually, IBM's pretty interesting in that too. So maybe some provocative questions. Was Jensen Huang lying or misdirecting, a nicer word, about quantum timelines from back in January at CES? Yes, he was. Who wins the US and China arms race for artificial superintelligence, for quantum and robotics labor? If we're winning that first one, we are definitely losing right now quantum and robotics labor. We have a lot of work to do to catch up. Why don't I call this a segment 3, Bitcoin, stablecoins, and the monetary coup? So things like Circle, now a public company, Tether that I mentioned, USDC, Ripple, the rails are there. Is the Trump dollar next? Is Michael Saylor a government asset, or the bridge between old treasuries and digital asset reserves? Questions that I'm thinking of and searching for the answers. What does Bitcoin actually hedge? Volatility, inflation, or actually is it trust? Other discussion seeds, and some of this you'll hear in my 10 a.m. Eastern interview tomorrow with a great investor, was the lead asset allocator, like the largest endowment. So how about XRP, over-the-counter shares of Ripple Labs? Secondary markets are whispering something big. I'm still thinking Bitcoin, Solana, Ethereum, but the unlock risk is real. And are meme coins really just a modern day lottery ticket? Okay, another one, energy. Energy, coal, uranium, rare earths. Gold miners, at least as of a month ago, were up, almost 40%. Coal was down so much, but which is the bigger asymmetrical opportunity moving forward? China dominates in rare earths refining. Remember, rare earths are often not really that rare. We're just so hand-tied in refining. And is that a big issue for our US military and a lot of the build out of the things we're talking about, including AI? Are you looking at ETFs in gold and silver, GLD, SLV, MLA, MLP, etc.? There's so many. Or are these just narrative outlays or overlays, a better word? Is antimony the most underrated national security metal? Speaking of critical metals, what's the Department of Defense real strategy behind the rare earth executive order? Kind of human nature, I could also bring up another segment as alpha, the psychology of markets. Meme coins, for sure, are a modern day casino. Well, some say the stock market is too. But meme coins really equal modern casino plus status plus community. My God, is that the new Ivy League? How do you like that take? So speculation is human nature. What happens when people realize they're locked out of the system? Narrative-driven markets aren't broken. I mean, they're human. So certain things I would, again, ask questions. I ask myself about 200 questions that I structure each week. I'm lucky if I get an answer to 1 or 2 of them. And even then, maybe flip a coin. Wrong or right. Is it 50-50? But do meme coins serve a psychological purpose that justifies their price? And how about this? Should you invest in what never changes, human needs, or what changes everything, AI? Kind of coming a little bit to the home stretch. I promised I would keep this short, unique, impromptu, more asking questions that you should be thinking about than anything else. Kind of stock versus benchmark might be the wrong question, but I'm going to come back to that shortly. The right question, what story wins next? And who has an edge in that world? You should really only be investing in individual stocks you believe will beat a given benchmark. And we know the math, the vast majority won't. I'm still an advocate for me of 70-20-10, 70% and more of a broad passive bucket, triple Q, Bitcoin. If you want a lump sum, although a pretty modest amount, short-term T-bills and gold and silver. 20%, which may not be as liquid as what I described and has more, you could argue, asymmetrical opportunity, but it's not too far out there. I look at secondaries in certain markets. If I could get a good price, I look to be more tactical in certain stock plays that I do think will beat the market. Okay, you want some names: Meta, Palantir, and definitely Circle. Oh, and I'm going to lump art into that as well. And among that 70, 20, 10, 10% in what I would call, and some others I know, liquid venture bets, where I'm looking actually at more public or certain crypto opportunities. You could say some meme coins, but definitely stock plays and some quantum. I already named one or two a little while ago. Robotics and drones, and certain other industries as well. If they go to nothing, I'm disappointed, but I live to fight another day. And I know they're not all going to go to nothing. And some of them absolutely are going to give me 10 or 20x returns over a relatively modest window. Well, sometimes 1 year. Well, in meme coins, maybe a day, but some over a couple of year period. And again, some will go to nothing. I understand that. As I get older, I look to probably more simplify my portfolio. I have apparently a little more respect for things that are liquid, that are a little more fluid. And for me, the last really post 2022 has worked well. That doesn't mean that I don't enjoy occasionally being an LP, that I don't look to lock up my money in certain other private companies and deals. That happens. But I prefer a model that's a more along the lines of what I was thinking of. So I know this was a little different. Well, I mean, I'm a little different. I know this was completely impromptu. I had a little show note here and there, but really wanted to do this off the top of my head. Happy to field any questions if any of you have them. And if you are listening to this live at 2:00 today, it's going to play across my socials and definitely on YouTube. And it'll be on LinkedIn too. You have to give a listen to me and Dr. Stacy Feiner. And by the way, she was awesome, a good sport. We're friends. But we have some different beliefs, which is okay. I believe in strong opinions, but loosely held. And again, I'm wrong my fair share. I've been, for my 60 years on earth, trust me, I've been wrong more than I would probably like to admit. And I am definitely not wrong about AI, so don't even bring that one up to me. And I told you all 10 years ago about Bitcoin, but the family office world elected to be egotistical, closed-minded, ignorant, and fearful of something they didn't really understand, and apparently were very, very, very wrong in. And go back and listen to my interview with Ron Diamond from 2 weeks ago, and that got a little interesting. Apparently, I guess I enjoy debates and formats where it gets a little confrontational. I think this industry is way too vanilla, way too boring, and bring on some of the heat. Let's throw interesting subjects out there. So 2:00 Eastern today, you have to watch it. We just recorded it yesterday, so it's very fresh. And if you're listening to this live, again, Thursday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, me and Scott Slayton, he has an incredible background, was head of asset allocation for effectively the University of Texas Endowment, and now is at a very substantial organization, is a very deep thinker on geopolitics, macroeconomics, and investing, kind of my three favorite subjects. So it's really a pleasure to have him on. We did not do much of a preamble. Kudos to him. He doesn't need questions beforehand. He's got the guts to take it on. And I think there will be some things we'll have some differences of opinion on, but you're really, really going to enjoy that one. So today, I wanted to keep the train moving. Many of you have said I have not done as much on investing lately, and that will change a little bit with Scott tomorrow, but I wanted to go a little solo as well. Many of you are requesting that I have JJ Sowers and James Nazaroff and other guests that many of you saw at some of my in-person programs, like in Palm Beach this year. They will both be on this summer, and those will be 100% hardcore investment related and dedicated. But I wanted to share some of my perspective, how I think, which I get it, it's different than most people, especially those in the single family office community. And the questions that honestly, I was up to like 2:30 last night. I just couldn't sleep. sleeping is not one of my strengths. I'm a pretty healthy person, very much into health and wellness, but I've not been able to conquer the sleep thing. I feel like my mind is always running and racing, and it's very hard for me. But I was just thinking of some of the questions that I just, threw at you guys there are just in my head, hoping that I would get my 3 or 4 hours sleep and I would wake up with the answers. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out that way that I would like it to. But I started to write them down, and some will make it into questions tomorrow. Definitely some for some of the guests who I noted. And this summer, I have just so much going on. You all know about my AI Family Office Masterclass by now, and all that I'm doing and hosting, even this summer for my members, private breakfast in New York, where we just throw, what was your last 3 investments? Jack, Joe, Jill, Jane. What was your thesis behind it? Why? Like, we go hardcore, and we encourage active disagreement, sometimes a little bit of voice raising. I mean, that means we care, and we're not just going to accept what you're saying without challenging, per se, some assumptions, so we could all learn how to become more critical thinkers. So trust me, I've not lost my investment edge. A lot of what we're doing, especially in person outside of my AI Family Office Masterclass this summer, and I don't put this stuff on the website. You're a member, you get invites, you come or you don't. And I did this in Palm Beach, I did this in LA, the earlier parts of the year, but this will be multiple times in New York. So jump in, become a member of my private community, SFO Continuity. Go to angelorobles.com and join, become a member, and twist my arm as you're paying me a fair penny to invite you to the following week after this upcoming one. So June 23rd and 24th, my AI Family Office Masterclass. There is nothing like it. I spoke to a single family office principal this morning. Finally, one that gets it, that is fluid in AI, LLMs, AI agents, various fintech platforms, APIs, collaborating, connecting them, and completely thinks I underrate when I state 5 good employees with 50 AI agents will outperform dozens and dozens of employees. He actually thinks I'm being too careful and conservative with that. There is so much going on, which is why I say, I know you want to enjoy the summer. So do I. I want to have some 3-day weekends too. But we're in a world now, geopolitically, macroeconomically, investing, everything, the craziness going on, and what kind of anchoring here, bringing the conversation a little bit back to AI, where you kind of take a month off, 2 months off, God forbid, 2.5 months off. What are you, a hedge fund manager in Greenwich that wants to go to the Hamptons the full time? This will feel like you're going to be behind 10x. It's going to be like being behind a couple of years. You can't do that in today's world. As a principal who cares about their money, someone in the family office or working within that community, I just don't see how you could afford to do that the way the world is right now and what's going on. And although I would like to set it and forget it, even as an investor, for parts of my portfolio, especially in that 70-20-10, definitely the 10, but to some degree the 20 and the 10, so about 30%, you do kind of have to sometimes be more tactical. So happy to share some of my insights today, some of the things that I'm allocating to, actually name some names as well, which I don't always like to do, and also posed questions that we all should be thinking about. What we learned 20, 30, 40, for some of you 50 years ago or more in college, it may have served a purpose at that time. What you have to do is acquire skills, and then you have to work really hard. You need both of that. And you also have to be adaptable. You have to be resilient, because what you learned decades ago may not always apply now. And you putting ego behind not wanting to learn new things. What I have done before has worked. I'm going to stay with it. That's ego. That's ignorance. And In the back of your mind, for many of you, it's fear. Do not let those three things paralyze you. Happens to me, happens to all of us. Bust out of that. You can't rest on laurels this summer. Now is the time to really go for it. I promised the families that are a part of and paying and are really a part of it, my AI Family Office Masterclass, something incredible in those 48 hours. Now, at the end of the day, they are going to have to feel it and have to take action. We all do. It's one thing to talk, to immerse, to have them connect the dots with experts, with what I'm doing, to bring my new computer and share exactly what I'm doing, but they have to implement it. Some of it, they have to do it. If they do that, I will change their world. I don't care if they're $100 million principal or family office or one of the Forbes 18 that makes up the 100 billionaires plus. It will be impactful for all. For all. At minimal, your current staff knowing how to properly and eloquently use this on certain things should 2 to 5x their production. It's game changing. Go to angelorobles.com now, join, be a member, look at my AI Family Office Masterclass, take a peek at what I'm doing in Family Office Mansion as well. And again, like I did state a week or two ago, effectively early July, I'll have a big announcement on the 360 single family office review and naming one of the partners that for certain things at a very prominent legal firm will be coming on board in select cases for it. So there's just so much going on. I hope you enjoyed today. Don't forget 2 o'clock Eastern to watch that, me and Dr. Stacy Feiner. And if you're hearing this live Thursday morning, 10 a.m., me and Scott Slayton. And finally, back a little bit to more geopolitical, macroeconomics, and investing. So that will be a good part of tomorrow morning's conversation. And lots of great guests, as well as a lot more solos coming up this summer. Hope you're enjoying it. Everyone have a great week. Thank you so much.